we go. Let's jump right in. I would like to introduce myself a little bit to you. I don't know if you know me. If yes, take it as a little bit of a revival of what I already presented in the past. Maybe it's quite a while since I've been to India, to Saraya, to North Goa. So might be new to some of you. So that's me. My name is Christoff Schneider. I'm a permaculture consultant, teacher, for over 20 years now. I I studied permaculture in New Zealand, and from there I started traveling the world, working in all climate zones, from alpine climate down to all tropical climates, from drylands to monsoon areas. And yeah, I was not always in this field, but let's first introduce my team. Roger is here now, but we are a team of 5 people at the moment. We call ourselves Ecological Living. In German, it means Ökologisch Leben. So it's this funny O with 2 points on dot and an L. Um, but we work internationally. We are association, and we try to help people to learning about permaculture and making a better life using the tools because we all, I think we all are aware that things are changing dramatically in the world. When you travel a lot, like I do, things like destruction of soil and water resources are my daily business. This photo to the bottom of the list on the left is from New Zealand. It's more than 20 years ago. And New Zealand already had the highest erosion rate, or one of the highest erosion rates in the world. Let's go to India. India is facing some problems as well, drought or heavy rainfalls that really flood areas. And the reason is always the same. No more forests, no more soil that and the soil structure is completely destroyed. So the soil, the Mother Earth cannot hold and manage water anymore. And we all head towards a very, very destructive uh, path. As you can see, maybe you heard this country overshoot day in 2025. There was no data for India. So let's take India. Uh, it was not so bad, but nowadays, when you look at this map or picture on the top right, you can see all red countries compared to their resources they have, natural ones, and the resources they consume. You can see that India is already there, that you eat too many of your natural resources compared to what you have. So when you look at it from an ecological footprint perspective, that would mean if if you have a forest, you can cut down forest every year. And if you cut down too much, one day the forest will be gone. But until the last tree is gone, you don't recognize it very often. Depending how much forest you have, you might recognize it too late. Or humus. Hardly any farmer is recognizing conventional farmer that he's losing topsoil every year. And this is the fertility that you have, where you don't need mineral fertilizer and chemicals to grow food when you have enough humus. So some countries in the north and very much in the south are still quite good. They have enough resources. South America, the southern part of Africa, big scale, but everywhere we have industrialization, we manage to deplete our resources heavily. So where are the solutions? We get there quite fast. The next problem we have is the gap in wealth. So a few people, and it doesn't matter if you go to India, yeah, there's an Indian map, but you can go to the United States as well. It's always the same figures. That's very interesting to see. India is a superpower already to a certain degree, but very big part of it is a development country as well. So they're very rich people, and very poor people there as well, like in the United States, but the gap is not so big there. But who owns what is almost the same relationship like in all countries. I could give you an Austrian map and it would tell you the same thing. 40% owns half, the other 1% owns half, or 40%, and 9%, adding up to 10%, is owning always more than half of the country and the resources. And only a few people, like 50%, have to live with the leftovers. They don't have really a chance to have the access. And the reason why that is over the last 100 years, especially after the Second World War, after the Bretton Woods agreement was banned, yes, the gold standard was kicked out the window. Assessment managers started to grow. And when you look at the funds that the biggest assessment managers in the world, like BlackRock, Vanguard, Fidelity, are now managing, it's much more than countries, their net gross product, what they have. And of course, the money they don't have on a bank account, they are in the companies, a society, a culture, economy is based on. So just imagine Germany is really a wealthy country, and I know the figures. Like only one company, BlackRock, has like 14 times the assets compared to the net products of Germany, which is amazing when you think of there are so many other fund managers in the world as well. So looking at these big corporations who just manage money, we know, okay, there's where the money is, there's where the ownership of the big corporations are, and there are only a few people who have a vote and a voice there. They really tell us what to do and where our money and our tax accounting is paid to. The next topic that really scares me a lot is AI, artificial intelligence. This is a huge topic, and it will probably transform our planet, our world, and our societies much faster and in a bigger scale that we are all aware of, more than a cell phone, more than a computer or Coca-Cola. That will be mind-blowing. So we have to prepare for this as good as we can. We cannot avoid it anymore. 30 years ago, I thought I will never use a computer. Here we are in front of television, live presentation in high definition around the globe. This is really crazy. And a lot of people are warning already, like these are the godfathers of AI who always went away from this technique and said, no, we have to limit it. We have to put limitations on it. We have to control it so not private people and corporations use it for their own needs to make more money and to suppress um, our opinions in when it comes to vaccination, when it comes to health, when it comes to media, the information we want to receive. We are losing our voice as people, as humanity, very much to a handful of very rich and wealthy and powerful people. And we all have probably lost already a little bit the contact to Mother Nature. If you're not a farmer and living from the land every day, having your hands in your soil, on your animals, at your water resources, managing them on your plants, then you might think a computer chip, like you see here, is something normal, but it's absolutely unnatural. It does not exist in nature. Nature never built a structure like that. This is not reality. Reality is that we have to breathe, that we have to drink water to live. We don't need a computer chip for that. We need an earthworm, like you see on my hand here. We need an earthworm who works the soil, who's fertilizing the soil, who's structuring the soil. That's what we really need. And it's much more complex than any computer chip ever developed, ever. And we will never be able to make a robot in the next 100 years, probably, that could do what an earthworm could do. A computer chip, yes. A robot, yes. but an earthworm, this metabolism it has to structure soil, to digest soil and organic matter, impossible. Not yet. We are not there to play God. And you probably notice too, everywhere you go, more and more you have a plastic card. Everything is controlled, everything is recorded. And don't think that I just complain and I've never been there, that I grew up on a farm. I come from a very, very different background. And I will tell you a little bit of my career at the beginning. How did it happen that somebody, yeah, went from this cooperative world that you can see on the left, this pyramid that you probably all saw online in a picture of capitalism, to a soil lover, to somebody who's not only wants to be in nature and in the forest, who really tried to make a change and learn how to really bring back degraded landscape, how to feed people from land. And I used to be an airline pilot. I flew aircraft for 20 years in the airline industry, and at one state it didn't work out anymore. I had to go. I had a burnout, and I said, "Oh, this does not work for me anymore." You have this social life, you have a high social standard, a good income, 14 times a year, high social security, and you drop it all because of this feeling here in your heart. I don't know if you ever felt this. You did hear the call of this is not right. I have to do something else. I feel drawn to something where there's insecurity because it doesn't pay my bills right away. I have to learn again. Yeah, being a specialist in flying aircraft, being a captain, going to growing rice and learning how to grow organic rice with Sri Lankan people and how to feed them. This is what we did quite a while ago at one of our projects. So, where to draw the knowledge then? When you say, okay, I feel this aim and need, I want to go and do something and change the world, I didn't know how to do that. And very often you need a life crisis to do that. So, I had a crisis and I found permaculture. This is Bill Mollison. He's one of the founder of the permaculture concept. He got the alternative Nobel Prize for it. So this is something very scientific. It's an art and science. It's the art and science of how to live in harmony with nature, how to not disturb the broken natural loops like the water circle, the gas circle, the nutrient circle that we all need to feed ourselves, to have water, to breathe air. Um, and what can we do in areas where we destroyed and interrupted this natural loop so much already, so we can bring them back? We stabilize again our climate, which is connected to all these loops, which is it's a loop in its own. It's like a living being, Gaia, the living being of Mother Earth, where everything is connected. And if you affect one part of it, boop, all the other parts are affected as well, and it will show it to you. So all this knowledge is, of course, written down in books. Yeah, like the Permaculture One, Permaculture Designer's Manual. David Holmgren, the other founder of Permaculture, wrote the book, Principle and Pathways Beyond Sustainability. And this is the theoretical part. So there's a lot of things you can read. You can go online and watch videos. When I started learning permaculture 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, there was nothing online on YouTube about permaculture, nothing. So I went to a farm and I learned it from scratch. I hope there are no vegans here. We ate animals, we slaughtered animals. I know how to do that, how to process them. I don't say it's good. They're sentient beings. They suffer. They have really emotions. And when you ever did hear a mother cow yelling for a week when you took the calf, then you start thinking, oh, there's more connected than just food when you look at an animal. So from airline pilot going to New Zealand, learning from Joe Polysha, my main mentor, learning from David Holmgren, one of the founders, meeting Bill Mollison was very inspiring. I had my own farm in Austria on a mountain, alpine climate. This is not tropical climate, but New Zealand was subtropical climate already, where I worked and using all skills, working the farm, working on as a pilot still and starting doing that what I love doing most, taking what I learned here, this knowledge and my experience, and starting to teach it to people and to share it who could never afford going to these workshops and schools and to the teachers where I had the pleasure to work for. So going to Africa, going to India, going to Sri Lanka, going to South Latin Central America and teaching people there. This is the most satisfying thing, but for that, we need to have an income as well because most of the time we fund these projects, showing people how to hold water in the landscape, using clay as a building materials, having forest gardens like here, 500-year-old forest gardens of the Chaga tribe at the Kilimanjaro, where I had the pleasure to teach a PDC. This young man is already a permaculture teacher. That's 15 years ago, and he's doing well. And of course, showing people and students, taking them in countries like Sri Lanka, in monsoon area, long dry periods, heavy rains, as you know, Goa is monsoon area.
Implementing trees in the agriculture system.
Do you have sound? I don't know. Otherwise, I stop talking. Or Olga, do you have sound? Or
We have sound.
oh, excellent. So showing people what they can do with their resources to build humus, to have a yield, to have their fertilizer. Because I promise you something, your fertilizer grows right in front of you. You maybe don't know how to use it. You think you need animal manure. That's not true. You can grow your own fertilizer at home. You can make your own fertilizer out of everything that grows around you. You can be a vegan and you can make the most amazing fertilizer out of the plants that grow around you. I worked large scale as well. This is a 1,600 hectare property in Paraguay. This is a floodplain. It's tropical climate, but it's a floodplain. Everything is underwater there when it's raining. So we had to do a design where we managed to, you see, when it's raining, everything is underwater, prevent flooding, raising everything that's built. And you have to imagine this small dwelling here. This is 500 hectares. That's really huge. It's the largest urbanization project privately funded in Paraguay, in South America, I was told, and this time Central America. They have thousands of waterways established, kilometers of swales and channels where you can go with a boat. 1,500 pounds, the largest one is 5 hectares. 5 hectares, about, I think, 20 acres. So it's really huge and big. And probably you all know when you're in agriculture that water management, if you have too much, like monsoon, or too little, no monsoon, or dry zones, or arid zones, or semi-arid zones, how to manage the water is the first thing we look at. So I think there's nobody better out in the world than permaculture designers, experienced ones, to manage water, which is the main key to be successful in agriculture. And I had the pleasure this year to consult a 100 hectare date palm um, farm in Saudi Arabia, where I got invited. My main field is composting and humus building when I work big scale with people beside the permaculture consultancy in design. Sometimes you specialize yourself in other fields as well, where you say, I'm an arounder. We need to be all-rounders in permaculture. But certain topics I start um, to learn really well to become an expert in compost making. I would say I'm a quite good expert already. So this was a design that I did. I did all my homework. This is everything that you have to do using artificial intelligence to get all my data about which plants grow there, what's the weather, what's the heat sum, what is the rainfall, giving them an idea how things can be planted, and so on. This is just homework that you do. That you one day go from this, the left hand or the left side is the good compost with the dark crumbly structure, and the right side, that's what they do at the moment. This is not compost. This is just rotten organic matter and will never build humus if you don't have the biology building humus. But that's a different thing. Permaculture is very much about soil testing as well. So we did all soil testing so things grow well. You take a soil sample, you send it somewhere, and they give you a result. And I would never work anymore without it, to be honest. And it doesn't cost much money. And I know in India you get a lot of these soil testings for free. The question is, are they good enough? But if you do a permaculture course, if you do a permaculture course with me, you learn how to find a good course, how to implement even in these desert zones systems with animals, with compost making, with green manure growing and compost extract, breeding the biology that build humus, spraying it around that you green the desert again. You have compost in the desert. Um, and this is the key. This is really the key to convert desert soils into really good productive units again. And this is one of my favorite things I do. I had the pleasure to present at the International Permaculture Convergence in Hyderabad years ago. I presented compost making there and humus building. And this is what I do on one side. I go to Western countries and making a little bit of the money that I hope to not hope that our team, is putting into projects in countries where people could not afford it, or we support people who cannot afford it to do something like that. So this is a little bit of what I did in the past, and now I want to talk about what maybe you ask yourself, what does a permaculture do? What when you learn permaculture, what's written in these books? What are the topics? And I put them down in a structure of mine. The Permaculture Designer's Manual has 12 topics. I have 8 topics that I cut it down to teach it so people can remember it. I find it much easier. The first thing is, of course, knowledge. Without knowledge, you cannot do anything. First, you have to know what you do, and then you start doing. But knowledge about what? And I think the first thing we all agree is when it comes to resilience and survival and things that we should know, life skill education, we should know how to build our shelter. We should know how to build a house with the resources I have there. Or if I don't know how to build one, I should be able to know what's possible with the resources, and then I can train myself uh, to use the resources around me to build a house like clay. Clay is one of the oldest um, resources we have around us, dirt, and you can make a brick out of clay and you can plaster a straw bale, or like the oldest mosque in the world in Mali. Since hundreds of years, it's built from clay, it's plastered with clay, and will stay in there another 1,000 years uh, if they don't have a flooding. But permaculture people like John Dye, he's one of my heroes when when it comes to ecological building. He was a farmer that got bored because he said, okay, I only need 3, 4 days a week to feed my family. What do I do with the rest of the period of time? And the most time is 1 month growing rice, 1 month harvesting rice. So he started experimenting with clay, building his first hut from clay. And then he built the next one, and he became an expert in building with the mud in front of his house, building his houses. And his one of his beloved jokes was, I have a problem now. I don't know in which house to sleep. The first house, the first shed he built, it took him 2 months to build. So if you know what you can do with the resources around you, you can save a lot of money, and you live in a house which is healthy. I know India, how houses are built in India very often. They are built from concrete, and concrete has a problem. It's not a very natural material. It's toxic, and it influences my whole environment, my body, the air that I breathe. If it's too moist, then I have the problem. It becomes moldy. And the clay house, yeah, and Chandai lives in an area where they grow rice, so they have a lot of rain as well. It works with mud, with adobe building in these climates as well. So if you are not in the pure wet tropics, there I would not build with clay and straw and these things. You have a chance to build the house yourself if you know how to do it. And just imagine, it's a very simple calculation. How long does it take you when you work to save the money to build a house? Better sharing forces. Some build a house, some go to work, and you never run into debt. This is my recommendations for people who want to save money. Alternative ways to to save firewood. Alternative ways to heat water, to cook water, to sterilize, to preserve, to dry, using sunlight, passive solar design, things where you use a little bit of energy, like in this rocket stove. Yeah, very little wood, boiling water, saving a lot of energy because all timber that I don't burn, I can use for building units. I can use for structural, for construction if the timber is good enough. So understanding passive solar design. What is that? How can I use the sun to cool areas? How can I use the sun to heat areas, depending where I am? I can build a very simple device and structure that is heating water with just a compost pile. How can I effectively manage my wood piles so I can grow a lot of timber and I cut the trees and they polar, they're deciduous and they regrow, they resprout and I can cut them and they will grow faster because the root system is bigger. So there are a lot of things that you can do uh, to produce your own energy at the same time having more water infiltration in the ground, having more fertility, growing the fertilizer, growing food at the same time. And this is the permaculture thinking. How can I take one element, we call it functional design. We take one element and it shall perform a lot of functions. Yeah, minimum three. So you take a piece of wood, and this piece of wood it can produce heat, it can produce fertilizer, it can be building material, it can be security material to build a fence, shelter, whatever. There's so many things I can take out of wood. I can feed the leaves to a worm farm or to my animals, but using manure at the same time that I put back in my loop or I sell it or whatever. So energy consumption and energy supply is a very, very big topic because we are so limited. The jump from having a candle and a piece of wood to electricity, there's nothing in between. So if you use a light bulb, and you probably all do, or a computer, you need electricity. There's nothing, no low tech that can give you that. You don't have control over it. If you have a blackout, brownout, done. You go back immediately to having a candle and having a piece of wood. This is that's reality. I told you water management is a very big thing in permaculture. And I give you um, a little bit of something that I did a month ago. After 20 years, after my last PDC that I set in and I joined as a student, I decided because Jeff Lawton, who I think is the best or one of the best permaculture designers in the world, I'm a teacher for his institute. He taught his first course in Europe. And I thought I will go there, I do this course. So I booked myself in as a student and I do the 2 weeks course with Jeff Lawton getting inspired. And there was one thing that really touched me because as I did not work on very, very, very big projects lately, they now use a technique which is pretty new from Ben Missimer, where they use lidar radar technique to see how the water is moving through the landscape. And I want to show you that, and I'm sure you will be as impressed as I do because it's a real game changer in design. You can see how the water is flowing through the landscape. And in design, it really will help you storing water where you have it, storing water where it's possible. You see where it's dry. You see where it's wet. You see how the altitude is, where you have sunlight really baking the ground and where are cooler areas. All this is possible with the LiDAR technique. This is the farm from Lawton in Australia, he started in a really dry zone with one dam, and now he has 30 dams built in the last 20 years. So this is mind-blowing what's possible with this technique. And we, from now on in our institute, are using this technique as well. There's another one I want to show you that takes a little bit longer. This is in Hungary, where I've just been, and I just will jump forward. You know this LiDAR technique now that they are using. And this is the contour lines. You see how high is an area and so on. But they are using another technique as well. And this other technique is this LiDAR technique, where he takes his farm. This is part of it, his 120 hectares. And he does a design with this technique, 3D design, where he shows at the beginning how the water is accessing this landscape when it's raining, where it's concentrating and where it's not concentrating, where it's too dry. So I go a little. So you can see when it's raining, the arrows show where the water is flowing. So where it's green, of course, in the valleys, you have a concentration of water. On the hills, you don't have a concentration of water. It's too dry. These are the contour lines, how to spray the water. And the design that Istvan, a friend of mine, a permaculture designer for the same institute, did is this, building dams, having contour line pathways which harvest water at the same time, as you can see. This is a cell dam, this is a keyhole nest, a turkey's nest dam, and there has a rich dam, so a lot of things happening there, holding the water on the land so it can infiltrate deeply into the landscape, refilling the groundwater table. And this is not only in Hungary, this is what we do everywhere in the world, guiding the water through the landscape. It has a name in Australia, it's called keylining to a certain degree. P.A. Yeoman, who invented keylining, never built a swale, I was told, from my keyline trainer there in Doherty. But you can see dams everywhere. Water is held in the landscape. And I had Indian students who went around after PDC really starting to, when monsoon is coming, holding the water in the landscape as much as possible. And at the same time, very important, how to get rid of too much water, which is in my design even more important than holding the water. How do I get rid of too much water, especially when in monsoon area? And then how to plant these areas. So when the soil is naked, what to plant. So I stop erosion, like we had here in Sri Lanka in monsoon. This is a garden design I did there with passive water irrigation, but too much water, as you can see, is guided away from the right to the right and to the left. So water management, most important thing in permaculture. And right afterwards is understanding soil, building humus when you want to grow your crops. So this is the composting unit I worked for. I just visited it. I restructured the whole factory. We produced 25,000 cubic meters of soils and compost every year, big scale. But of course, you cannot use this technique. This is too expensive, and you won't find a composting unit and factory around you. So what I do, I teach people like here in Sri Lanka with the resources they have, how to make from their resources the best terra preta soil, so biochar enriched soils, very stable in carbon, to grow excellent food with the resources they have. So this modern technique adapted to hand skills. Like here, this is the garden from Saraya, where we put a design in when monsoon rains come, water is drained. When monsoon rains stop, you can hold the water in the pathways and you have a passive irrigation system. So gardening is very big. And to be honest, the best veggie garden I know in India is in Goa. I don't tell you the name of the person. He's not happy receiving calls anymore, I was told. But if I come to to Goa, teaching a course there in November, December. I will call him and maybe he gives us a tour. So join in, join our workshops, and you might see this amazing place of Peter. From small gardens, veggie gardens for your veggie growing, permaculture um, has solutions large scales as well. Name it if it's syntropic agriculture and agroforestry, silvopasture systems for all climate zones. So here you can see an acacia and grains in between. Um, and this is used everywhere in the world. And what we found out, and it's scientifically proved, when you can build humus, like here in Africa, where they grow corn with Sclerozidia sepium. This is a nitrogen fixing plant that you have in Goa and India, big scale as well. You lose a little bit of space for the corn, but you get 3 times the yield back of corn instead, and you build humus at the same time. And that's amazing. When you just look, you have here 1,500 per hectare kilos, and with Gliricidium maize, you end up having 4,317. There are different parameters they added up there, but in the best trial they did, they had 3 times more the harvest and yield, just interplanting the crop with a nitrogen fixing small tree that you can chop and drop and mulch, and he's structuring the soil for you and fixing nitrogen. You might know this picture to the left when you're from India. This is Bill Mollis and Dr. Vinket in the first permaculture course ever held in India decades ago. I will show you a little bit of a clip of a movie at the end to inspire you what's possible with permaculture. I think it's one of the last things I show you today. How a bedrock, hard like stone area was transformed in an edible garden. And I worked in India as well. This is in India and Kerala, where I did a yoga retreat. I'm a little bit in yoga as well. Ah, this is a picture, sorry, where we designed a hygge culture guiding the water. I thought it's a video clip. Sorry, I cannot present it now to you, and I will not look it up yet. It takes too much time. And banana circle systems, how to concentrate nutrients and water and build from the edge um, your edible your edible system so it can grow, becoming something like this one day, like a syntropic garden from Ernst Götz to the top left down to really intercropping. This is eucalypt. Yeah, if I tell an Indian person eucalypt is an excellent pioneer plant, everybody tells me I'm crazy, but I'm not. You need the organic matter. Nothing grows faster. If you intercrop it with other plants, it doesn't harm anything. It's a very useful plant. Gives you a lot of fertilizer right away. So these are the things that we do. These are the things that we teach in courses. And this is what permaculture can do for you, because all this what I showed you can be a trade. All that I showed you can give you a business, can give you work, can feed your family, can transform your life like it did for me, from an airline captain pilot um, to a greenie, to a permaculture designer working international in the world. This is one of my students, Lucas Uhl. He already got a prize for his projects in Madagascar, implementing water systems. He's a very young fellow having a farm in Portugal. I taught a PDC there 2 years ago. And he got a prize, an international reward for his work already in um, in working in Madagascar, showing people how to hold the water in the landscape. This is a landscaper per trade. This is Dominic Greve. I did my first large projects in Europe with him, but he became too rich now selling dates. So he did 2 permaculture courses with me, and he's selling now organic dates. And he brought me to Saudi Arabia to make the soil better, so his dates get better. So he created his own business by showing people that his produce is the best in the world, and he can tell why, because he knows how it was made, and they still want to make it better. So there are so many ways you can use this life skill education of a permaculture course to make a better life for you and for your family, for your business, having higher income, and so on. And you learn all these in courses. The foundation of such a course is a permaculture design course, and we offer one at the 14th of November um, in Goa at Saraya. And if you're interested, come and join. You get more information a little bit in the end. These are designs of an Indian student, um, Mr. Sridhar, and I'll tell you more about it a little bit later, where they use these skills that they received, zoning and sector planning. These are all things that are taught in a permaculture course. I don't know any other course, no architect, no landscaper learned this. Only permaculture courses teach this kind of knowledge in this way. I don't know why. It should be taught in any university, but it's not. And then people who have not really skills in landscaping manage to do designs like this. These are students after a 2 weeks course delivering designs, understanding how nature works, how to close the loops, and implementing these designs. And everybody has to deliver a project when he does a course with me. Um, and they deliver these kind of designs where they hold the water in the landscape, where they know and understand the natural patterns of design, how energy is preserved, entropy is stopped, and and recycling nutrient, recycling water on site again, and what are my strategies? And they put it on paper, and that's what the students deliver at the end. And not these are not experts. These are IT people. These are people, housewomen very often. This is a naturalist on the left. The lady who designed this Terra Celeste was an architect. That's why the drawing is so nice. Um, for Nestle, and she got so sick working for Nestle that she said, "I need something else." She did a permaculture course, and then she became a gardener. So all these designs here been made by students. Here you see a young Indian lady who wanted to have this wonderful peacock feather design. So she brought it on paper in a permaculture course. Using these tools of permaculture that you learn, like I show here. Oops. Yeah, zoning and sector planning and profile reading. Very simple, very fun. It's not so much interesting for somebody who's not interested in this field. But if somebody wants to live in harmony with nature and being energy efficient, that's exactly what you're after. This knowledge is what you look for. Like this design, a double Fibonacci helix is a heart. I didn't know that until a student of mine designed it. Permaculture is teaching a lot about cultural values and structures as well. Not so much cultural, but how to manage to make my community resilient. Like the transition town movement grew out of Rob Hopkins, a permaculture teachers initiative in England, and it's now a worldwide happening movement. Even parts of London become transition towns, but it's in India as well, where people try to become more resilient, where they have local exchange and trade systems, community gardening, seed saving, getting the control back of the water resources, and so on. And that's what we teach in courses. And we teach international certified courses. Like here's Jeff Lawton that I had the pleasure to interview in Hungary now. And you get if you do a course with me, you get an international renowned certification for becoming a permaculture designer. The first step into becoming a permaculture designer. Having done a PDC, Permaculture Design Certificate course. And if you're interested, come and join. This is what we offer. This is what we like to share. Our next course is happening on the 14th of November in Goa. Yeah, 14th to 28th. And there's a special. The special is we have advanced courses as well. So it's not only a lot of theory that you learn, because we did hear that today. Knowledge is the first thing that we have to get, and then we try to add our practical experiences to it, bringing it to work, making it work. Like this is Sridhar Tempamani. He's a permaculture designer now in India who look at these amazing designs that he does for communities, social projects. He does the design, people implement it, and they have an edible landscape again. Or here, Saraya. This is the mother of Sorathin is an architect. She's designing all these amazing things, and he and her is implementing more and more of these structures. I haven't been there for years now, but I'm looking very much to see what happened there with the garden, the bottle walls, the clay building, and so on. So I jump forward a little bit what we do there. So in the courses there, people learn very often the first time taking a seed and putting it into the soil and they look after it for a while and say, oh, something grows. Oh, that's nice. And you already see a difference. You have 10 people getting soil and they make their own mixtures and they're taking the same seeds and everybody gets a different result. Very, very interesting to see the different results when you grow things from seed and to recycle them. And of course, a lot of fun, a lot of group learning, group presentation, studying, discussing the field, the topics, and getting, of course, all my knowledge and my experience. And this is the difference. This is the fast track learning. You can go online, you can read books, but a 2 weeks course, really. Ah, by the way, this is the best garden I know in India, best veggie garden. So maybe we have another tour there. Would be lovely. Fast track learning. You can ask your questions, you get answers right away, and this is the big difference. It's like ChatGPT, yeah, but with experience and not drawing from knowledge of others. Everything, look at my hands, they're quite big. And yeah, I used to work a lot in the field myself, running my farm, doing projects. But I love sharing permaculture. I love teaching permaculture. Yeah, and that's what we will do 2 weeks in Goa. So if you're interested, we will write in the chat the contact others and off we go. So I promised you something. I promised you information about the advanced workshops that we will offer. I'm really thrilled to share another 3 days soil humus and composting workshop. This is something that I feel in my heart very much. Getting this experience, this knowledge out, showing people taking what they have around them, making the best fertilizer and breathing the biology, who's building humus, who's feeding the plants. The soil is the stomach of the plant. The stomach has to be healthy, and it would be lovely, yeah, if you come and grab this knowledge. And Roga, maybe you can write the links in the chat so people can who are interested can go to the homepage of Sora and and look what we will do there, getting more information there as well. We have 1 day veggie garden, a workshop where I show you my way to build specially for your climate the right garden, no matter if you're dryland zone in a floodplain, whatever. This system works everywhere. You only have to adapt a few parameters and off you go. I grew I grew veggies in the sand of an island, in the salty sands of an island in Indonesia, and with biochar and composting, it worked. It did not grow anything, but having the right ingredients is in there. Even the worst soil, salty deserts, salty Caribbean islands, you can grow food. You can grow food in the hardest ground. I will show you that in a minute that you have maybe at home. And this gives hope that shows you, wow, that's possible. I want to do the same. That's so inspiring. Every time I see it, I want to turn off the computer, go out and just start digging, r- going to plant trees, holding water in the landscape, and bringing back the natural loops to the areas. Like here, this is Ernst Goetsch. He started with an empty landscape in Brazil, designing and creating one of the most unique syntropic projects in the world, 2 to 400 hectares, which is about 1,000 acres from eroded area to tropical forest again. Very, very unique. So we have a 2 days course about this, especially for the tropical climate, of course. We have a 2 day water harvesting intensive where you learn everything about the LiDAR technique, how to read a contour line in detail, and implementing and learning more about how to can I take that and bring it home and implement it right away. And this is more practical. All these workshops, or most of them, are very practical. Means we take a spade, we take tools, and we dig trenches, and I show you how to do that with the resources we have on site. To hold more water in landscape like here, this is an example. You see a swale here, water is held from a catchment and then it soaks in, and at one point it stops because it hits a hard surface or it's refilled the ground to the groundwater table, and then it's pushing back up again. And this is how you bring the water back into the landscape, in the ground, structuring the soil, holding the water, infiltrating it. We have I give you something that you can remember very easily. How I manage water. You can remember it by heart. Where do I get the water from? Where's my catchment? That's the first thing. How do I guide the water so it doesn't cause erosion? How do I store the water so I have more water in certain places that I can draw from? How do I make the water work? So it works for me for irrigation, for maybe making electricity, feeding my animals water, giving them a good drink, and for my nursery and so on. How I clean my water. Fifth point, and the last point is how can I get rid of water when it is too much? And then maybe you end up like these people here who did a PDC at Saraya with me some years ago. And now I give you something that I promised to you from Bill Mollison and Dr. Winkert. I took a little bit of a snippet out of the Global Gardener, where he is in India, an hour north, I think, of Hyderabad, or some hours north, somewhere there where Dr. Windkert's farm is. He died already where the farm is, but he was. And what happened from zero to afterwards. Everything there is not older than 2.5 years.
This is a bedrock of laterite.
That's how it looked 2 years ago. Not even grass grew there. And you all know this kind of soil. In India, people build houses out of these rocks, out of this ground. It's so hard that you cannot just plant something. You have to you use a pick to go into the ground. And even Bill Mollison says, I did not expect that things could grow here so well. So we know that now it works. We know now it works. So come to a course, join us. We would be happy to host you. Just let me know. Thank you for attention. Thank you for joining. Namaste, namaskar, and I hope we see us in India. Looking forward to go there. Booked my ticket already. All the best meanwhile.